How's it going, everybody? It's Young here with my most anticipated games of 2017. The new year is finally here, and what better way to kick things off than by talking about the most exciting upcoming titles. Now, before we begin, do keep in mind that this is my own personal list. There are bound to be differences between your list and mine, which is why I'd love to hear what your list is in the comments below after you watch this video. Something else to keep in mind is that I'll be listing my games in order of anticipation, so the further we go into the list, the more anticipated the title is for me. The first game I'd like to talk about is Vampyr or Vampyr by French game developer Don't Nod Entertainment. It's been too long since we've had a proper vampire game. I've grown up playing games like Vampire the Masquerade and the Legacy of Kain series, so seeing Don't Nod aiming to revitalize the genre with Vampyr or Vampyr makes the title very enticing for me. However, what I've seen thus far does look rough around the edges, which is why Vampyr is currently at the bottom of my most anticipated list, but I'm approaching the game with cautious optimism. My hope is that over the coming few months, they'll be able to work out all the kinks and make it into the great modern vampire game we've all been waiting for. Next up is Ukulele by Platonic Games. The Banjo series is also one that I grew up playing avidly, and I think it has a very special place in many people's hearts. So I couldn't be more excited for this spiritual successor. With a key creative talent behind Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong Country on board, Ukulele certainly has the potential to become one of the best platformer adventure games in a long time. Not to mention that based on what I've seen, Ukulele seems to retain the same personality, quirkiness, and charm of its spiritual predecessors. This is definitely one to keep an eye out for. Moving up the list, we have Nioh by Team Ninja. Need I say more than Dark Souls and feudal Japan? Now, while the game clearly takes inspiration from the Souls series, after having played the game's 2 demos, I was pleasantly surprised to find that Nioh has enough distinguishing features to hold its own ground. The game's faster pacing, unique mechanics such as stances, fearsome Japanese lore-inspired foes, and overall atmosphere ensure that Nioh will have the potential to be far more than just a Dark Souls clone with a Japanese coat of paint. Speaking of action games, there's no company that surpasses Platinum Games in that genre, which is why I'm so excited that they're helming the upcoming new game in the Drakengard series, Nier Automata. I recently borrowed Nier for PS3 from a friend of mine, and I was pleasantly surprised to find myself engrossed by the game's story, characters, and the boss battles. Where the game falls short, however, is combat. It's just very basic and it doesn't feel all that great. This is where Platinum comes in. Nier Automata is still being directed by Taro Yoko, the same guy who has directed Nier, which means we can still expect great characters, story, and boss battles. But with Platinum in play, we can also expect the one thing that the original lacked: awesome combat mechanics and overall gameplay. It's just one of those matches made in heaven. The next game on the list dials down the action in favor of heart-pounding horror. I'm talking, of course, about none other than Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that we have been burned one too many times by Capcom with some of their latest Resident Evil games, with 6 in particular being a new low for the series. This is why I'm actually kind of excited about Resident Evil 7's new approach. It seems to forego the Michael Bay direction of 6 in favor of the slower-paced, horror-centric, puzzle-solving, survival-based gameplay of earlier games. Except now the game makes use of a first-person perspective, which could potentially pave the way for a more immersive horror experience. I'm keeping my fingers tightly crossed that Resident Evil will make a glorious return with lucky number 7. Next on the list is Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games, which is the studio that Hideo Kojima's partnering up with for Death Stranding. The way I would describe Horizon is that it's the result of a foursome between Far Cry, Shadow of Colossus, The Legend of Zelda, and Transformers. Powered by the Decima engine, the game combines a gorgeous open world, a compelling setting that blends tribal and futuristic elements, terrifying mechanical creatures of all shapes and sizes, thrilling tactical combat, and various RPG elements for what's shaping up to be one of the best PlayStation 4 exclusives yet. It's a shame that Horizon has been receiving so little attention compared to other titles, but I for one have been hyped for this game since it was announced, and I cannot wait until it launches on February 28th. Another open-world game to look forward to this year is Mass Effect Andromeda. The Mass Effect series needs no introduction among gamers. Despite the rather underwhelming ending to the original trilogy, it still holds a very special place in many gamers' hearts thanks to memorable characters, as well as an expansive, dense, and compelling universe among other things. Shepard's saga may be over, but the series continues as it takes us to a whole new galaxy where humanity is the alien race as we scramble to look for a new home, which I think is a really cool premise. What little has been shown of Andromeda so far looks great. The Frostbite engine works wonders with the game's sci-fi setting, and gameplay looks more refined than ever based on what little I've seen. If BioWare can avoid repeating some of the mistakes of the original trilogy, Andromeda could easily become the best in the series. But among open-world game developers, none are quite as renowned as Rockstar Games, so it should come as no surprise that Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my most anticipated titles of 2017. Even today, the first game blows me away with its authentic, beautiful, and expansive Western setting, and its memorable characters, compelling plot, and fantastic gameplay. There's a good reason why Redemption 1 is often praised as one of the best games of the last generation. So putting that into perspective, the mind reels at the possibilities of Redemption 2, especially after what little we saw in the gorgeous teaser trailer. Even 6.5 years after release, I have yet to see a single Western game that even comes close to surpassing Redemption 1. So who better to take on the challenge of surpassing it than Rockstar? Another studio that is renowned for its quality is Atlus, and their upcoming JRPG Persona 5 is one that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. The game has already launched in Japan to critical acclaim, but Western audiences will have to wait until April 4th, 2017. From what I've seen though, the wait looks to be worth it. Gameplay looks both familiar and more refined than it's ever been. Dungeons look far more expansive and varied than ever before. Every character I've seen seems memorable in some way. The stylized visuals are by far the best I've seen in an Atlus game, and the user interface and menus are just gorgeous. Never thought I'd see the day in which I'd be praising a game's menus, but seriously, Persona 5 has some sexy-ass menus. The game just oozes style and attitude in every facet of its presentation, and it just makes me want to immerse myself into the game's pseudo-historical world of Shibuya, Japan. But among all these worlds, one that I've been yearning to go back to for a very long time is the land of Hyrule, which brings me to my most anticipated game of 2017, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I honestly cannot remember the last time I was this pumped for a Zelda game. I'm particularly excited by some of the new features that are unprecedented for the series, like the mind-bogglingly enormous seamless open world, new RPG elements like crafting and equipment, as well as a gorgeous art style that makes the ravaged land of Hyrule and its denizens come to life like I've never seen it before. Breath of the Wild seems to be on its way to proving that you don't always need bleeding-edge technology to create beautiful, wonderful, fun games. I'm also really excited to see how this game plays on the Switch. There's no denying the appeal of being able to play a full-fledged Zelda game on the go. And honestly, I'm just excited by what Nintendo has in store for us this year with all things Switch related. Alright, so that about sums up my most anticipated titles of 2017 that we know of so far. I've excluded numerous upcoming titles since we still don't know what their release window is, namely games like the new God of War, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2. I'd also mention Death Stranding, but that likely won't come out until at least late 2018. I'm also sure that there are a number of games coming out in 2017 that haven't been announced yet, particularly from Nintendo, like that new Mario game for example. But regardless, 2017 is still looking to be a good year for gamers. What are you most excited about? What are your most anticipated titles of 2017? Be sure to let us know in the comments below, and to be further updated on gaming news and reviews, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out!